Starbase's Starship Gigabay is putting on weight in a massive concrete pour. SpaceX is preparing the first work base. Pad 2 is coming alive, but which components are done? Another player enters the space station game. Why does it require Starship? Blue Origin is NASA's plan B for a lunar landing. Will they land on the moon next year? And do we get a new spaceplane after all? My name is Felix, welcome to What About It. Let's dive right in. Starship updates. While Starbase currently is kind of in between things with version 3 Starships soon taking over, they are also working towards Flight 11. That last flight test of a version 2 Starship is essential in several ways. Although it could be said that this rocket is already outdated, it still retains some significant relevance. But what about it? What are the main items remaining to be tested on Flight 11 with a seemingly outdated rocket? Why even launch it? The first and only payload deployment of a Starship occurred during Flight 10. And it requires repetition and improvement. The Dumpling satellites on Flight 10 bumped into the payload door several times. This stems from the momentum being transferred from the PEZ dispenser to the satellites at the moment of separation. In zero or microgravity, any force applied to an object causes it to keep going in that direction. Imagine this Starship heat tile was in space. Imagine how delicately you'd need to let it go to make it just go straight forward without any other movement. That's what you want to do with a satellite, and that didn't work very well. So a repeat needs to be done, and it doesn't matter much which Starship variant gets the PEZ dispenser and the Starlink satellites to space, right? The next big item is undoubtedly the heat shield. This is a much more continuous evolutionary development than the rest of the rocket. Every flight so far has had changes to the heat shield, and Flight 11 is no exception. Crunch wrap all around. Different tile tests, more and more data to collect and refine. Even though it's the last version 2 launch, those are currently among the most important items to resolve for SpaceX. Payload for profitability and a heat shield for the incredible goal of reusing the entire rocket. Not just the booster stage. So Flight 11, while utilizing a largely outdated Starship, has great significance for SpaceX. But this is SpaceX we're talking about. No time is wasted, ever. That is where all the updates come into play. Version 3 is a major step forward, and it requires updates everywhere. SpaceX has once again confused us. Remember the test tank we talked about a few episodes ago, the one testing version 3 Starship updates? Against all odds, they filled it with cryogenic liquids. But why is this confusing? To understand why, we need to look at what this test tank is made of. The most noticeable component is the integrated hot staging ring, brand new on version 3 Starships. Next up, we have the common dome. The common dome is what separates the liquid oxygen and the liquid methane tanks. Both components are version 3 upgrades. The hot staging ring will be integrated, and the dome is flat, much less curved than on current Starships. Both of these sections were stacked atop 2 additional rings, bringing the entire test tank to 10 rings tall. We initially thought that this test tank could be testing 2 things. The grid fin motor housings, which are required on version 3 Starships due to the completely redesigned hot staging ring, or the forward/hot staging dome. Neither of which we would be able to see, but we assumed this because there is a hole in the common dome where the transfer tube is sleeved. A hole in the bottom of a tank makes it hard to load a liquid. Or so we thought. To further understand, we need to look at the common dome in detail. It is composed of 3 rings, some stringers, and of course the dome itself. With them loading a liquid into the tank, we can safely assume this dome is closed and outfitted with a fill and drain hose. But that brings up the question of what they are actually testing with this tank. In short, we don't actually know. This test tank could be used to test the overall structural integrity of the design, meaning it could be tested until failure or until the test article passes the testing levels. What's fascinating is that SpaceX tests these things now. It appears that these are essential components for a successful version 3 build. If that is so, this could be the reason why we're not seeing more progress on version 3 hardware. And then there is the ground infrastructure. Version 3 is larger, too large for the current infrastructure. Before we dive into recent Gigabay progress, here's a quality of life improvement for you. Moving to the US, drinking water became an issue. We just could not stomach the chlorine, and as scientifically interested people, we were very aware of microplastic and PFAs in bottled water. And our home has a private well, challenging us with different problems. High iron, sulfur, and forever chemicals. These don't break down, they build up in your body, possibly harming brain development, immunity, and growth in children. They also are linked to fertility issues and hormone disruption in adults. We're using around 18 liters per day, 540 liters per month, costing us around $250 for 28 5-gallon jugs of water. Each month, that is $3,000 per year just for water. And after hours of research, I found the solution, CovePure. It's a 4-stage reverse osmosis system powered by clear wave technology, removing up to 99.9% harmful contaminants, including lead, arsenic, PFAs, even pharmaceutical residues. And it only costs us $50 every 3 to 6 months for a new set of filters. That saves us around $2,750 per year. And as a space enthusiast, I have to add that it uses partly the same filtration tech as on the ISS. It has become central in our lives and we use it for everything. Drinking, cooking, freshly brewed tea. The waiting time for the kettle is over. Just push the button and enjoy your tea or cocoa. Stop worrying about your tap water, trust what you drink. Go to covepure.com/whataboutit to get $200 off. That's covepure.com/whataboutit. Alright, freshly hydrated. The brand new and improved Starship work bays are seeing massive progress. Let's take a quick look at why they are creating these new and improved bays and what the evolution leading up to these true monsters was. First, we have to give the honorable mention to the low bay, also known as the windbreaker or iron hinge. The very first bay structure to be assembled in 2019, although it never got much use and was really just there to break the wind. Next we have the first actual bay, the mid-bay. Beginning in early 2020, this bay assumed the major role of being a safe place for vehicles to be worked on. This bay facilitated the production of the first suborbital ship test articles. I miss the suborbital testing campaign, glorious early days, kind of like the Wild West variant of rocket development. And it all had a reason. We'll talk about that in a minute. 1 year later, SpaceX began construction on a more widely recognized building, the high bay. After being constructed, this bay was put to work. Vehicle after vehicle, this bay was abused. With 1 turntable and 3 work spots, the vehicles had to be stored on their transport stands at all times. Actually, these 3 bays alone could be their own video, so for the sake of this one, let's just say they all played a very important role in the very beginning of the program. After this came Megabay 1 and 2. Both even larger than the high bay and both used for fast-paced prototype production. While Megabay 1 was used for boosters, Megabay 2 was used for ships. Streamlined approach, way more capacity, and taller to accommodate the growth between version 1 and 2. And what comes after Mega? Right, Giga is around the corner, and once again the reason is a growing Starship. And as you can see in RGV Aerial Photography's latest images from October 1st, this next iteration of Starship bays is an entirely different story. It is way larger than anything that came before. Its footprint is 3 to 4 times bigger than that of the Megabay. You can already see the work bays appear. Contrary to the old bays, this one is going the whole 9 yards. Dedicated work bays for each prototype. This will significantly improve workflow as none of the prototypes in progress will clutter the bay. Furthermore, this bay will have direct access to Highway 4 just outside the gate for faster transportation to the pads. It will be taller yet again at 116 meters compared to 99 meters for the Megabays. It will provide substantially more headroom for the ever-growing measurements of SpaceX's Starship. And SpaceX is rapidly progressing. On September 26th, they initiated a massive concrete pour effort for the foundation, which is still ongoing. This new bay is needed for further development, but what about it? Why not just build this Gigabay right away? Why didn't we see this being built in 2019 instead of the windbreaker, which never saw much use? Blue Origin, for example, never needed to upgrade its facility at the Kennedy Space Center Exploration Park, right? They knew what to build right from the start. The explanation, once again, is the most misunderstood aspect of Starship development. While Blue Origin knew precisely what they wanted to build, SpaceX didn't know what they'd end up with at all. The reason? While Blue Origin and many others don't stray far from existing rocket designs, SpaceX is venturing into previously unexplored territory. While Blue Origin's New Glenn is a copy of existing rockets like Falcon 9, Atlas, and many other rockets, at least by what it's supposed to achieve, Starship is breaking the barrier. Its goal of being the by far largest rocket ever to have launched and being fully reusable right from the start, rather than as a development step later on, is unprecedented. Whenever you enter new territory with actual innovation, you need to guess and take a risk. Literally. And that's why we're seeing these things happen the way they do at Starbase. Before we talk about Pad 2 and Flight 11, hit the subscribe button to stay informed. Like this video if it brought you value and become a wise supporter for extra content. Up to 7 picture galleries per week, satellite, helicopter and ground photos and 3D animations. Chat with me and gain more insights on the topic you love. Thank you very much. We're also hiring again. Are you a photographer looking for your next dream job? Are you located near Starbase or willing to relocate to witness history in the making? Join our team, become a Y photographer and experience Starbase like never before while being paid for it. Check the link in the pinned comment and in the video description to make yourself heard. I am looking forward to chatting with you. Good luck. And it is almost time again. SpaceX's Pad B at Starbase is growing out of its infantile stage and blossoming into a beautiful, what would we even call a teenage Starship? Maybe teen can? Haha. Hopefully it doesn't also come with all those negative stereotypes human teenagers are associated with. NASA Spaceflight provides an excellent view of the work. The infrastructure on Pad B is seeing significant progress, especially with the water deluge system, which is designed to protect the pad from the intense heat and acoustics of Starship launches. SpaceX intensified its testing of the new deluge system this past week with multiple high-pressure checkouts. Extensive testing was seen with the system's pumps, the gas generators, and the flame trench. A unique feature of Pad B is the ability to recycle water from the flame trench back into the storage tanks using sump pumps in the trench. This unique design allows for rapid, successive tests. As seen on La Padre Space, the gas systems for Pad B had already been activated and vented previously, which indicated preparation for more powerful testing. Currently, we're seeing tests on the entire deluge system every week. This shows that this part of the pad is likely already fully operational. Along with the already tested launch mount, the quick disconnect system, the hold-down clamps, the drawworks, and the chopsticks, we are finally starting to see a more complete product. The chopstick stabilizers were recently tested as well. These are used to guide and stabilize a booster during a catch. Everything seems functional at this point. The completion of the primary infrastructure suggests that the construction phase for Pad B is nearly finished. With these initial system tests now underway, full-scale hardware integration, including static fire tests with a Super Heavy booster, can be expected as soon as a booster prototype is completed. This much more traditional pad is engineered for the next generation of Starship, or version 3, and it is expected to become the primary launch site once completed. This will also free up Pad A for upgrades, which will likely commence as soon as Flight 11 has taken off. Several new vaporizers were delivered recently, adding yet another puzzle piece to its growing ground support equipment. In fact, I expect Pad A to be taken down within a pretty short time after Flight 11. It will no longer be needed, as the new generation of boosters is not compatible with the current hold-down clamps. Theoretically, it could be used for ship testing, but with Massey's nearing completion, I don't expect further ship testing at this pad. Significant progress has also been made on Pad B's cladding, which is now starting to look like a transformer of some sort. The addition of external cladding signals that most of the complex internal work, including the extensive plumbing for propellants and the water deluge system, is largely finished. Unlike the tower at Pad A, where plumbing was added externally after the main structure, Pad B was built with internal systems in mind from the beginning. As it should be. Remember, this is an upgrade from Pad A. With the gantry nearing completion, attention will likely soon shift towards integrating the full launch stack. This is expected to include cryo testing and static fire testing with a Super Heavy booster in the coming months. The only major thing left to do before this switch is Flight 11. And we are very close now. In fact, SpaceX's published launch date is now officially under 1 week away. We're still targeting October 13th at 6:15 p.m. Central Time. Nothing has changed. And as always, I'll be streaming. In fact, you should see a stream reminder pop up in 2 or 3 days from now. Do you want to see how SpaceX is doing from the air with your own eyes? Go to redlineheli.com/Felix. $25 off for anyone using the link. The Redline helicopter team is waiting for you. They'll show you the same Starbase views our photographer gets on his Starbase flights. Unforgettable stuff. We truly are living in very interesting times. While the era of the ISS is coming to an end in just a few years, the age of orbital space stations is just in its infancy. One of the partnerships that has set its sights on commercial space stations is Starlab Space. In this project, experienced partners pool their collective capabilities to create a new approach in this field. Voyager, Airbus, MDA Space, Mitsubishi, Palantir, and Space Application Services have designed their space station to be delivered by none less than the largest rocket ever produced. Yup, we are talking Starship class payload. Ha, yes! Unlike the ISS, which required decades of assembly across multiple launches, Starlab wants to deploy a complete and functional station in a single flight. Do I have your attention? Good. The design features 7.7-meter diameter modules. That is about double the width of ISS modules. It will provide 450 cubic meters of pressurized volume, roughly half the total volume of the ISS. This massive cylindrical habitat will accommodate 4 astronauts, featuring sleeping suits designed by Hilton, a central greenhouse, and research facilities capable of supporting over 400 experiments annually. The station's 60-kilowatt power system and MDA Space's robotic arm will enable extensive scientific work. Palantir Technologies' AI-driven digital twin will optimize operations with predictive maintenance and resource management. The station will serve government space agencies, research institutions, pharmaceutical companies, and commercial manufacturers. Notably, even though Hilton designs the sleeping quarters, it's not planned to host space tourists at this point. Starlab faces competition from Axiom Space, which has already flown private missions to the ISS, and Blue Origin's Orbital Reef partnership. At the moment, Starlab leads in development milestones and is poised to position itself as the most capable NASA CLD project. NASA has invested $217.5 million in Starlab through its commercial LEO Destinations program. With its critical design review scheduled for late 2025, Starlab remains on track to ensure a continuous American presence in orbit when the ISS era ends. This is epic news. Let's move on to Blue Origin and its lunar ambitions. Blue Origin is accelerating preparations for its Blue Moon Mark I lunar lander mission, aiming to achieve a moon landing just a few months from now. Yeah, Blue wants to land on the moon in early 2026, and it's getting more and more important as a plan B to SpaceX's Lunar Starship. The uncrewed Mark I lander, designated MK1SN001, represents a critical technological demonstration for the company's broader Artemis program ambitions. Blue Moon Mark I stands 8.05 meters tall and can deliver up to 3,000 kilograms of payload to the lunar surface. The upcoming Pathfinder mission will validate essential systems, including avionics, propulsion, communications, and precision landing capabilities within 100 meters of the target site. Central to Blue Moon's success is the BE-7 engine, which has undergone extensive testing throughout 2025. In July, for example, Blue Origin conducted the 4th thrust chamber test series at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. Now, as we learned from an post by David Limp, the BE-7 engine has been put through the longest duration engine test yet at GEEX, Blue Origin's atmospheric test location in West Texas. The tested engine performed a 1,030-second burn test, simulating the longest burn required by the mission to reach the moon. 1,030 seconds might not sound like much, but this is more than 17 minutes. In other words, crazy long. BE-7 is a high-performance liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen engine generating 5 tons of thrust when at full power. Tiny in comparison to a Raptor engine with its 250 tons at full throttle. It is capable of deep throttling down to as low as 1 ton of thrust, allowing for precision landing maneuvers. NASA, as we've previously reported, has awarded Blue Origin a second commercial lunar payload services mission to deliver the Viper rover to the moon's south pole in late 2027 using a second Mark I lander. This can be seen as a vote of confidence and growing trust in Blue's capabilities. The company recently opened its dedicated Lunar Plant 1 facility in Merritt Island, Florida, where the larger crewed Mark II lander for the Artemis 5 mission will be manufactured. And there is more going on at Blue Origin as their flagship rocket, New Glenn, is being prepared for its second ever mission. The rocket, designated NG-2, will carry NASA's Escapade Mars probes into space. This marks the first time New Glenn launches an interplanetary mission. Just like in January, when Starship and New Glenn literally launched on the same day, both rockets have a targeted launch window in mid-October. Blue Origin has two interesting milestones planned for NG-2. One obvious one is to deliver the payload. The second is, once again, a booster recovery. On the inaugural launch, the company failed to recover the booster during its Atlantic Ocean landing attempt. This triggered an FAA review and led to corrective measures, particularly concerning propellant flow and engine reignition control. As preparations continue at Cape Canaveral's Launch Complex 36, the Escapade spacecraft awaits integration at Blue Origin's Astrotech facility while the first stage booster undergoes final testing. The twin Escapade orbiters will study Mars's magnetosphere and analyze how energetic solar wind particles interact with the Martian atmosphere. Both NASA Mars probes are operated by UC Berkeley's Space Sciences Laboratory. The $80 million mission aims to deepen the understanding of atmospheric escape processes on Mars. How did it lose its atmosphere? And the mission represents the first ever multi-spacecraft orbital science effort focused on studying Mars's magnetosphere. Let's head back down to low Earth orbit. It might not be long now before a fleet of standby space trucks is stationed here. When SpaceX first mentioned Starship's point-to-point transport, it was met with considerable skepticism. Many people still believe that this is not a feasible option or a bad idea. Now, even before SpaceX could demonstrate Starship's capability in this regard, another company has jumped on the bandwagon. Welcome aboard! Inversion Space has unveiled ARC, a space-based delivery vehicle designed to transport cargo to any location on Earth in less than an hour. ARC's design resembles a Dragon capsule having a baby with Dream Chaser. One might call it a wingless spaceplane with a lifting body. The fuselage delivers the aerodynamic lift. Can we have more spaceplanes, please? Since the craft will not rely on runways or landing pads in the targeted area, it does not feature landing gear. Instead, ARC deploys a parachute. This parachute is fully controllable, allowing ARC to perform pinpoint, accurate soft landings. Once recovered, the craft can be fully reused. While Starship point-to-point missions are designed to be launched on demand, Inversion plans a very different approach. They envision keeping full constellations of ARCs in orbit. If needed, they are able to reach any point on Earth in less than an hour. This approach of an orbital warehouse might be very useful in disaster relief or for military operations. Once deployed, ARC autonomously maneuvers through hypersonic re-entry. After re-entry, it boasts impressive cross-range capability, enabling it to traverse up to 1,000 kilometers. But ARC is not a one-trick pony. The platform offers exceptional hypersonic testing capabilities, including maneuverability at speeds exceeding Mach 20, prolonged exposure to extreme conditions, and sustained high G loading. Earlier this year, Inversion demonstrated its technical maturity when it launched its first spacecraft and technology demonstrator, Ray. The mission was used to validate key systems, including avionics, propulsion, and solar panels. Now it is time to put ARC to the test. A first full-fledged test launch is planned for next year. And that's it for today. Smash the like button, subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and this is how you can help us for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. Our brand new Mechazilla shirt is up, and we have 25% off everything until Flight 11. Link is in the description and in the card you should see now. And if you want to learn more about how SpaceX's Raptor 3 engine works, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Entire stack, stank tack, the stank tack. A complete and functional station. Functional.